Okay, so this is our chapter 1 review. I'm going to go through each question, so just skip to the part where you need to go over. I'll be filling in the answers on the right side of my page. That way you can figure out where you need to go in order to solve that problem, okay? All right, so this is problem number 1. It needs to solve the equation and then justify each step, okay? We've got x plus 1/2 equals 3/4. Okay, now the 1/2 is being added to x, so what we need to do is we need to subtract 1/2 from each side. Okay, now we have fractions. Those fractions do not have a common denominator, so we write x equals 3/4 minus 1/2. So we need to change 1 in order to match the other. I'm going to change the 2. I'm going to multiply by 2 to both the top and the bottom, so it'll match. So x equals 3/4 minus 2/4. And you can always double check. 1/2 changed into 2/4. Is 2 out of 4 half of it? Yes, 2 out of 4 is half. So x equals 3 minus 2. We put them over the same denominator, and we've got 1/4. So x equals 1/4 is our answer. We need to justify that step that I wrote in red, okay? I subtracted from both sides, so my justification is the subtraction property of equality. And that's it. It does not ask us to check. If you wanted to check, you would get x, which is 1/4, plus 1/2 equals 3/4. This is our check. And in our check, 1/4 plus 1/2 is 1/4 plus 2/4 equals. From here, we would get 1 plus 2 is 3/4, and 3/4 does indeed equal 3/4. So that is number 1. The answer was 1/4. X equals. Number 2, z divided by 4 equals 12. Z divided by 4 equals 12. Now, what we do to both sides is we're going to multiply by 4. You may ask, why am I multiplying by 4? Well, z is being divided by 4. Remember, in order to undo an operation, you use the inverse. The inverse of division is multiplication. So when we multiply by 4, these 4's cancel. They both become 1s, and we've got just z equals. And then 4 times 12 is going to give us 48. So z equals 48. Let's justify that step. We multiplied to both sides, so this is multiplication property of equality. So we finished number 2. Number 2's answer was z equals 48. All right, let's check out number 3. Solve the equation, determine whether the equation has one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. Number 3, we just divide by 5, and we would get the 5's cancel. N equals -4, and this is one solution. N is equal to 1 value. So n equals -4. Number 4, g plus 5 equals 17. Again, what is going on between the g and the 5? They are being added together. The inverse of addition is subtraction, so we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. And we're going to get g equals, these cancel, 17 minus 5 is 12. Once we get 12, that is one solution. And we're going to go ahead and write it as g equals 12 as our answer. Okay, moving on. Number 5. Okay, this is where we need to be careful. So, first things first, look to each side. Is there anything on the left or the right side that we can combine before we start moving stuff over? And the first thing that I noticed is that there's a 13 here and a 10 here. We should combine those before we start moving forward. 13 plus 10 is going to give me 23, plus 3p was left over equals 23 plus 3p. Now, If you notice, there's the exact same thing on both sides. This is what we call an identity. So there should be infinitely many solutions. Okay? P could be anything, and this equation would be solved. So over here, next to number 5, infinitely many solutions. Number 6. Okay, so we got 7 plus 4y equals 39, okay? This one's gonna be more than one step. So what we do is we find our variable, which was y. It's on the left side, so we need to get rid of everything else on the left. Let's get rid of any term that doesn't have y in it, so let's get rid of the 7. We're gonna subtract the 7 from both sides, and we're going to get 4y, because these 7's cancel, equals 39 minus 7 is going to be 32, and then we just divide by 4. Divide by 4. And we get y equals 32 divided by 4 is 8. So y is equal to 8. And that is one solution. Okay. Next, we've got number 7, 3 plus t. 3 equals t plus 11.5 minus t. Remember, first thing, before we start moving stuff around, just see if there's any like terms. And I noticed a t and a minus t. So let's go ahead and combine those. We get 3 equals, well, t minus t, those are going to cancel. So 3 equals 11.5. Is this true? No, it is not. This one is no solution. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and fill in no solution for number 7. Okay. Number 8. Okay. So we got 4x plus 8 plus 6x minus 5 equals 33. Before we do anything, guys, figure out, is there anything that is like terms? I see 6x and 4x, and I see plus 8 and minus 5 on the left. So let's go ahead and combine those like terms before we start adding or moving stuff over to the other side. So 4x and 6x is going to give us 10x when we combine those. And then plus 8 minus 5 is going to be 3 equals 33. Now we're just going to subtract 3 from both sides. You solve this like a normal equation. We have 10x equals, remember these 3's went away, and this 33 minus 3 is going to give me 30. Now all we have to do is divide by 10, and I'm going to get x equals 3. And this was a single solution, so we're just going to write one solution. Okay. Number 9. Okay, number 9. Now we get into the fun part, okay? Now we've got distribution. So we're going to distribute, and then we're going to see what we get. So we got 5 times 2c plus 7, and then minus 3c equals 7 times c plus 5. Distribute the 5 to both terms. So we're going to get 5 times 2c, which is going to give me 10c. 5 times 7, which will give me plus 35, minus 3c equals 7 gets distributed to the c and to the 5. So we're going to multiply 7 and c. We would get 7c plus 7 times 5 is 35. Okay? Now, before we move on, okay, remember, you're looking for things that are the same, like terms, on the same side. And we've got a 10c and a minus 3c. That's going to simplify to 7c plus 35 equals 7c plus 35. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's the same, okay? This is an identity, infinitely many solutions. Okay, let's just write that as our answer. That was number 9, infinitely many solutions. Okay, number 10. 3 over 2b plus 6 plus 1/2 b equals 15 plus 2b, okay? Well, before we start moving stuff around, remember, always check, are there terms on either side of the equation that are like terms that we can combine before moving forward? And I noticed the 2b terms on the left side of the equation, okay? So we've got 3 over 2b plus 1 over 2b plus 6 equals 15 plus 2b. All I did, guys, was I rewrote this where the b terms are next to each other, okay? Now, 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2 is going to be 4 over 2b plus 6 equals 15 plus 2b. 4 over 2b is the same as just 2b, so I'm going to write this over here where I have more space. So we had 4 over 2b plus 6 equals 15 plus 2b. 4 over 2 is the same as 2b plus 6 equals 15 plus 2b. Now, people already noticed that we've got the same variable term, the 2b, but we don't have the same number portion. This is going to be no solution. Now, if you didn't notice that, okay, just go ahead and keep solving. So we would subtract 2b from both sides. They both cancel, and we get 6 equals 15, which is not a true statement, so therefore there is no solution. There's no value of b that would satisfy this equation. Okay. 11 and 12. Describe the values for c which the equation has no solution, okay? Well, we've got 2x minus 6 equals 2x minus c. And it wants us to think about all the values for c where this would have no solution. So the values for c which would have no solution is if c does not match with the 6. Because this 2x, we already agree when we subtract 2x from both sides, we would get negative 6 equals negative c. So as long as c is not 6, we have no solution. So c cannot be equal to 6. Those are the values of c for which the equation has no solution. So c can be anything except c cannot be equal to 6, okay? Because if c was equal to 6, how many solutions would we have? We would have infinitely many, because negative 6 always equals negative 6. Okay, checking out number 12. We're trying to find the values for c which the equation has no solution. Well, we have noticed these absolute values, okay? So this left side, once we take the absolute value of x plus 8, will always be positive. So the only thing that c cannot be is c cannot be less than 0, okay? C can be 0, c can be positive, anything, but c cannot be less than 0, c cannot be a negative number. Excuse me. For no, oh yeah, that's right. For no solution, okay? If c was greater than or equal to 0, you would have a solution. But for c less than 0, c being a negative number, you would have no solution. Absolute value cannot be a negative number. Okay? All right, 13 and 14, you should skip. Number 15. Solve the equation. Okay, now we've got variables on both sides. This is really good practice for us, okay? So what we're going to do for the first one, for number 15, I'm going to subtract 2n from both sides. And we're going to get 5n plus 3 equals, these n's will cancel, and 23 is left over. You subtract 3 from both sides. You get 5n equals 20. Divide by 5, divide by 5, n equals 4. Now, I know a lot of you are struggling with how to get started, okay? Remember, for each question, look to see if anything can be combined. So I notice this 7n and I notice a 2n in the beginning. But they're on different sides of the equation, so we can't combine them just quite yet. I also notice a positive 3 and a positive 23. Those are like terms, but we can't combine them because they're on opposite sides of the equation, okay? Then, once you figure out if you can combine anything, look to see, okay, my next step is I want to move any n terms from one side to the other. It doesn't matter which way you go. You could have subtracted 7n, or you could have subtracted 2n to move it over. I always subtract the value that will keep my n positive, if it's possible. So in this case, I knew that 7 minus 2 would give me 5, positive 5 down here. So I wanted to subtract the 2n and not subtract 7n. Because if I subtracted 7n, right, this would be minus 7n, and we would get a negative 5n on the right side, okay? So I subtracted 2n. And then you take care of the number portion. You move the numbers over, so I take the 3 and I move it to the right side. So I get 23 minus 3, and I get 20. But regardless, guys, if you do it the other way, as long as you don't make a mistake, you're going to get the same answer. You should get n equals 4. Okay, number 16. We've got 1/2 times, oh, I didn't write my answer. This was 15, and n was equal to 4. Okay, number 16. 1/2 times 6x plus 4 equals 5 times 2x minus 8. All right, we're going to distribute. So we're going to take this 1/2, multiply it by the 6x, multiply it by the 4, take this 5, multiply by the 2x, multiply by the negative 8. Okay? This is going to become 1/2 times 6x plus 1/2 times 4. Remember, when you distribute, you multiply, equals 5 times 2x, 5 times the first term, minus 5 times the second term, which is 8. Okay, from here, we've got, I'm going to move this over here. Oops. 1/2 times 6x plus 1/2 times 4 equals 5 times 2x minus 5 times 8. Let's do all the multiplication. So we've got 1/2 times 6x. The 2 will cancel with the 6, give us a 3. 3x plus the 1/2 and the 4. The 2 will cancel with the 4, give us a 2. 3x plus 2 equals 5 times 2x is going to be 10x minus 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, so now look to both sides, see if you can combine anything. My x's are on different sides, and my 2 and my negative 40 are on different sides, okay? Now let's go with what I told you before. I said I want to subtract something that will keep my x term positive. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. That way I keep my x term positive. So I've got 2 equals 7x minus 40. And then you're just going to add 40 to both sides. So we've got 42 equals 7x. And my last step is to divide by 7. X is going to be equal to 6. That is number 16. Okay, let's keep going, guys. Number 17. Okay, 17 I'm going to rewrite over here just because I need more space. So 3/2d plus 12 equals, and then 1/2 times 2d minus 6. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, guys, distribute those fractions. So we're going to take the 3/2, we're going to distribute it to the d and to the 12, and we're going to take the 1/2 and distribute it to 2d and to minus 6, okay? From here, we've got 3/2 times d plus 3/2 times 12 equals 1/2 times 2d minus 1/2 times 6. Okay, so we've got 3 over 2d plus the 12 and the 2 will cancel. This becomes a 1, this becomes a 6, because 12 divided by 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is going to give me 18 equals 1/2. The 2's will cancel. We've got just d minus 1/2 and 6. The 2 cancels with the 6. This becomes a 1, this becomes a 3. And we've got d minus 3. From here, guys, which one's bigger, 3 over 2d or regular d? Remember, there's a 1 in front of this d. I'm going to subtract the d from both sides, and we're going to get 1 over 2d plus 18 equals negative 3. Subtract 18 from both sides. These are going to cancel. We're going to get 1 over 2d equals negative 21. Multiply both sides by 2. D is going to be 42, negative 42. So 17 is negative 42. $18, here we go. Okay, so absolute value. Remember, first thing we do for absolute value is make sure your absolute value is on one side of the equation, but also by itself. So for number 18, we're making sure that our absolute value is on the left. It's completely isolated. So what we do at this point is we write the inside portion, b minus 12, and we write it equal to 15. Or our solution could be b minus 12 equals negative 15, okay? We're going to get two solutions because that's how absolute value works, okay? From here, we can just add 12 to both sides. This will cancel, and we get b equals 15 plus 12 is going to give us 27. Or we've got plus 12 plus 12. We're going to get b equals negative 3. Those are our two solutions. And as always, you want to check, you want to plug them back in for any absolute value solutions, okay? So we're going to plug them back in. We're going to get the absolute value of 27 minus 12 equals 15. 27 minus 12 is going to be the absolute value of 15, which is equal to 15. And then the same thing for negative 3. We're going to get the absolute value of negative 3 minus 12. Oops, should be absolute value equals 15. This is the absolute value of negative 15, which is just positive 15. Both of them check out. So 18, our answers are b equals 27 or b equals negative 3. 19, we're getting close, guys, we're getting close. Okay, so we've got 2r plus 5 equals 3r. Okay, let's check it out. So look for your absolute value. Is it isolated by itself? Yeah, it sure is. So we've got 2r, we write the inside, plus 5 equals 3r, or 2r plus 5 equals negative 3r, okay? Now, let's say your absolute value had, I don't know, a 3 on it, okay? You would not be able to write this yet. You would have to divide both sides by that 3 to cancel it out and move it over to the right side, okay? In this case, our 3 does not exist, so we're just going to leave it the way that it is and just write it equal to both the positive solution of the right side and the negative solution of the right side. All right, then we go ahead and start solving. So in order to move the 2r over, I want to subtract 2r from both sides. I'm going to get 5 equals r. Beautiful. It's 1r because 3 minus 2 is just r, or 1. So 1r, which we don't write the 1, we just say r. Now we've got the same thing over here. We're going to subtract 2r, and we're going to get 5 equals negative 5r, divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5, and we're going to get this cancels, and we're going to get, oops, it does not cancel. This cancels, we're going to get negative 1 equals r. So we have two solutions. We have r equals 5 and also r equals negative 1. Always check for these kinds of problems, for these absolute values. So we've got 2 times 5 plus 5. Okay. Take r, wherever I see an r, which I didn't do for the second one, I want to plug in a 5. Okay, so from this point, we've got 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 5 should equal 5 times 3 is 15. The absolute value of 15 is indeed 15, and this one checks out. Let's try r equals negative 1. Absolute value of 2 times r, which is negative 1, and then plus 5 equals 3 times negative 1, or r. From here, we're going to get negative 2 plus 5 equals negative 3. And then this is 3, the absolute value of 3 equals negative 3. Is this true, guys? Can you take the absolute value of 3 and get negative 3? No, okay? This is an example of an extraneous solution. This is why we always check our answers. You cannot put r equals negative 1 as a solution, okay? So our only solution to this one is r equals 5, okay? If you ever go to check for an absolute value problem and you get something that doesn't make sense, an absolute value equals a negative, you extract that solution, you take it out, and you just write r equals 5. Okay? Notice I did not write r equals negative 1. You have to take that solution out. Okay. $50. Next page, let's do it. Okay, solve the literal equation for y. So remember, when we're solving for y, okay, you want to move everything that isn't y out of the way. So y is right here. So what's on that side with y is the 5x. So we're just going to subtract 5x from both sides. And we're going to get y equals, I have to remember to do it both sides, minus 5x. And we just leave it as 2 minus 5x. We solved for y. We're done. Okay? So 21 was easy. That was just y equals 2 minus 5x. Remember, for literal equations, you're not going to get a value. You're just going to solve it in terms of the other variable, okay? Number 22, we've got 2x plus 5y equals 3y plus 8, okay? Now, this one's different because we see y over here and y over here, okay? So what we have to do is move them to one side and get everything else on the other side, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3y from both sides. We get 2x plus 2y equals 8 because these go away. And then all you got to do is subtract 2x from both sides. And you're going to get 2y equals 8 minus 2x because these cancel. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and y equals. Now, 2 does go into 8 and it does go into 2. 2 goes into 8 4 times minus x, 2x divided by 2 is just regular x. Okay? This cancels with this, it becomes a 4. This cancels with this, it becomes a 1. So, your final answer is y equals 4 minus x. Whew. Okay, 23 we're not doing. 24 we're not doing. 25 and 27, and then we're done. Number 25, at a book fair, a tote bag costs $5 and books cost $3.50 each. You spend a total of $19 before taxes. How many books did you buy in addition to the tote bag? So always ask yourself, what is this question asking me for? And it's asking you, how many books did you buy in addition to the tote bag, okay? So what we need to do is establish that our variable is going to be how many books we bought. So let's make that lowercase b, okay? So we're going to write an equation. our total is $19. So I'm going to write 19 on one side of the equation equals, and then we have to set up our equation. The tote bag costs $5, and then we're adding in the fact that we bought books for $3.50 each. So we're multiplying 3.50 times B. We're going to write this a little bit cleaner, so this is going to be 19 equals 5 plus 3.50 times B. Now, if we wanted to solve this, okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab it and put it over here on the right. So 19 equals 5 plus 3.50B. And if we wanted to solve this, we would just subtract the 5 from both sides. We would get 14 equals 3.50B. Divide by 3.50 to both sides. And we're going to get B equals, now, some people don't know what 14 divided by 3.5 is. I don't know it off the top of my head, so I'm going to use long division. 3.5 does not go into 1. 3.5, let's see how many times it goes into 14. I'm going to guess 4. Let's see. 3.5 times 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2. Okay, that is 14. It goes in evenly, okay? So we're going to subtract 14. The remainder is 0. So our answer is 4. So B equals 4. There were 4 books bought. So you would write 4 books. Okay? Make sure for these word problems, I'm looking that you set up the equation correctly. Okay? You use a variable and you solve for it. If you only show me work and output the answer, okay, but you don't set up an equation, you are only getting half credit, okay? You need to set up that equation. Your business needs to print brochures. You call 2 different print shops about prices. Each print shop charges a set-up fee for preparing the brochure and a price per brochure. Each print shop charges a setup fee for preparing the brochure and a price per brochure. Okay, I'm going to underline setup fee for preparing and then a price per brochure. Okay, the total cost is the same for each company. How many brochures is your business printing? Okay, now this word problem, okay, it gets a little tricky, but let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, so company A, we're going to set up over here on the left. It says the setup fee. That is a one-time fee, okay? It happens once, it doesn't happen again. So this 50 is going to be used once, and then we're adding however many brochures we have times the 1.5, okay? So we're going to do 50 plus, let's say B is the number of brochures. So 50 plus 1.50B. We're taking the number of brochures, B, and we're multiplying it by the price per brochure. Okay, now it's asking how many brochures is your business printing if the total cost is the same for each company. So we're going to set this equal to company B's price for the setup, which is $75. Plus, they charge $1 for each brochure. So we're going to take plus 1.00 times B. And all we have to do is solve this equation, okay? So from here, what would I do to solve it? Well, I know I want to move this B over, minus 1.00B, minus 1.00B. So I keep my B value positive. This is going to give me 50 plus 0.5B equals 75. Then I would just subtract 50 from both sides. Once I subtract 50, I'm going to get 0.5B equals... Thank you. Okay, so 0.5B is going to be equal to 75 minus 50. This will be 25. once we put that in there, all we're doing is we're dividing by 0.5 to both sides. Divide by 0.5, okay? Now, when you divide by 0.5, that is the exact same thing as multiplying by 2, okay? Or dividing by a half, and you should get 50, okay? So B equals 50. That means that in order for the businesses to produce the same amount of money, they are producing 50 brochures. You decide to increase the number of brochures. From which company should you order? Okay, so let's say you ordered 51 brochures. Okay, we want to see which one's going to be bigger, company A or company B. Okay, company A would be 50 plus 1.50 times 51. This is going to be 50 plus 1.5 times 51. We're going to plug this in. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so from here, then we take the 5, we multiply it by 5. Remember to put a placeholder 0. We get 25, bring up the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, add 2, you get 7. Okay, so now 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 5 is 6. 7 plus 0 is just 7. Remember, we had one decimal place, the 5 after the decimal, so we're going to move over our decimal one space. 76.5. So we have 5 plus 76.5. So we got 76.5. We're adding that to 50. And then this is going to give us 50 plus 76.5. 5, 6, 13, sorry, 12. So 120. So company A at 51 brochures will give us $126.50. We have to compare that to company B. Company B is going to be 75 plus $1 times 51 brochures. This is going to be 75 plus 51. This is going to be 126. So after 50 brochures, company B will be less expensive. And therefore, company B would be the option that we want to pick. Okay, and we're done, guys. That was the entire review. I didn't put the answers here, so B was equal to 4 books for 25, and then 27 was 50 brochures, and company B was the answer to B. Okay, if you have any further questions, guys, please shoot me an email. I'm available even though I'm not there today. Good luck studying. Take advantage of the 3-day weekend. Don't study the whole time, but definitely take at least a few hours to prepare yourself for Tuesday's test. All right, good luck, guys.